Alright, back with another album review. Today's review is going to be on a soundtrack rather than an album. The soundtrack in question is the one for the 2011 film The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, aka Null 002. The film was directed by David Fincher and was released on December 21st, 2011 in the US. Though premiered on December 12th of that same year at Odeon Luke's Leicester Square in London. The movie is an adaptation of a novel of the same name that came out in 2005. There was another film adaptation in 2009, though it's in Swedish, and I haven't seen it. As to the 2011 film, I've only seen it once. Hell, my mom actually saw it in the theater over a decade ago. It's an interesting film to say the least, but there's one fucked up thing in the movie that it contains. Incest rape, which is two wrongs that sure as hell do not make a right. I know it's fiction, but you get what I mean. The movie does have some well-known actors, including Daniel Craig, Rooney Mara, and Christopher Plummer, to name a few. Granted, Daniel Craig is the cast member who I'm most familiar with, since he starred in 5 James Bond films, as well as other projects. I'm not going to go into detail about the plot, because some people watching this video haven't even seen the movie. However, I will talk about the soundtrack, which was composed by Trent Reznor and Atticus, aka the guys from 9 Inch Nails, just without the 9 Inch Nails moniker. The soundtrack was recorded between October of 2010 and December of 2011. The soundtrack was originally released digitally on December 9th, 2011 on the Knoll Corporation. The physical version was released on December 27th of the same year, and retail copies were distributed by Mute Records. For instance, I bought my copy directly from 9 Inch Nails' web store. It was self-produced since Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross produced it by themselves. David Fincher and Scott Rudin were the executive producers. Alan Mulder and Michael Patterson did the mixing, and Blumpy was the engineer. What's interesting is that Mary Queen Mandig performs vocals on a few songs, and she's actually the wife of Trent Reznor. The art direction was done by Rob Sheridan, who we all know has a long history of working with 9 Inch Nails. The soundtrack itself is primarily centered around electronic music, but it does touch upon electro-industrial, drone, dark ambient, and even experimental music. Granted, 9 Inch Nails have touched upon electro-industrial, dark ambient, and experimental music on multiple occasions. Now let's talk about the songs. Now, as you can see, this is a 3-disc set, and we're going to talk about the disc one at a time. Now, we'll start with disc 1. Now, disc 1 starts with the cover of Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin. I don't know how many times I've heard the original version, but this cover is badass. It even features vocals from Karen O of Yeah Yeah Yeahs. Now then again, Karen has also worked with David Lynch on the song Pinky's Dream, but that's a different story. Anyways, this cover is played during the opening credits of the movie, and it starts the soundtrack off quite well. It is even released as a single. The song even won a St. Louis Gateway Film Critics Award, and Film Critics Association Award. Next songs are She Reminds Me of You, People Lie All the Time, Pinned and Mounted, Perihelion, What If We Could, With the Flies, Hidden in the Snow, 1,000 Details, One Particular Moment, Can't Take It Anymore, How Brittle the Bones, and Please Take Your Hand Away. And now we move on to disc 2. Now, the songs on this disc are Cut into Pieces, The Splinter, and Itch, Hypomania, Under the Midnight Sun, Aphelion, You're Here, The Same as the Others, A Pause for Reflection, While Waiting, The Seconds Drag, Later into the Night, and The Parallel Timeline with Alternate Outcome. And now we move on to disc 3. Now, the first 12 songs are completely original. Another Way of Caring, A Viable Construct, Revealed in the Thaw, Millennia, We Could Wait Forever, Oraculum, Great Bird of Prey, The Heretics, A Pair of Doves, Infiltrator, The Sound of Forgetting, and Of Secrets. The soundtrack ends with How to Destroy Angels performing a cover of the song Is Your Love Strong Enough by Bryan Ferry. I'm not really familiar with Bryan Ferry, but I really like this cover, and it was released as a single. I'll talk more about How to Destroy Angels some other day. I saw that this soundtrack peaked at number 44 on the US Billboard 200, number 4 on the US Independent Albums, number 3 on the US Soundtrack Albums, number 10 on the US Top Alternative Albums, and number 11 on the US Top Rock Albums. However, putting this soundtrack in the category of rock/alternative albums is stretching it, since it's mostly in the realm of electronic music. From what I've seen is that the soundtrack is met with mostly positive reviews from critics. It even has a 76 on Metacritic. However, film tracks give it 1 out of 5 stars, but we all know that they're full of shit. As for my opinion, I think this is a great soundtrack. Trent Reznor and Atticus always knock it out of the park when composing a soundtrack, and this is no exception since they are the guys from 9 Inch Nails. When doing my research, I read that the soundtrack won both an Alliance of Women Film Journalists Award and a Grammy. I highly recommend this soundtrack. If you want a copy for yourself, you can always get it from 9 Inch Nails' web store. Granted, it isn't just CD, digital, and streaming that the soundtrack is on, because it's also on vinyl. The vinyl version isn't on 9 Inch Nails' web store, but I'm pretty sure it's on Discogs and Amazon. Now is the part where I question you. Have you listened to the soundtrack? If so, what are your thoughts on it? What's your favorite song from it? Do you think Trent Reznor and Atticus were the right guys to compose this soundtrack? Let me know in the comments. If you liked the video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Be sure to press the notification bell to be notified of future uploads. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon with another review.